So this week we were finally shown a sneak actual peek of animation from the 100 Years Quest anime. Not just the, colored images from the manga, like actual things that exist in animation style. I know it was like 3 seconds, but it gave us a little bit of a idea of what we're working with. We don't also get a character model set of the main cast, just to see how they're all gonna look. The only person, like I said, that looks a little bit different, I honestly think is just Natsu, but partially I think that's just because he doesn't have like emphasis on like drawing his muscles or like stuff like seeing his sharper teeth or anything like that. I think it still looks really good in the character models. And then in the animation bit, it's really off of what, like a 3 second, like 2.5 second bit of like the end of chapter to 100 Years Quest. So nothing that I'm kind of crazy to like harping on. I really would say that we need to see like a scene first, like specifically just like a general animation scene. It's a little hard to kind of go about that because there's not a whole lot of action in the first few chunks of 100 Years Quest chapters, because really until the bit with Kiria shows up, there's not really any fights or anything that goes down from an action standpoint. It's mostly just kind of setting up the story, and then we get some of those fights and some of, like I said, some of that action a little bit later as events actually start to take up momentum and start to kind of get rolling. But I would assume that they're probably going to throw a couple things in there. Probably in the first episode, they'll have like a 15-20 second little hype animation scene, maybe with those jellies or something like that. Maybe some random monster that shows up where all of the main cast can kind of have a moment to flex their magic and do something cool. I just feel like that's just almost necessary, but not really. I know, like at the first episode when Bleach came back, there's like that bit with like Ichigo and crew just fighting random hollows. I just don't want it to be to that emphasis where it's like they really have to just be like we're back kind of scene, because I like it to a degree, but it wasn't like Ichigo using his Bankai on some like random nobody hollows. I don't want it to be like, oh yeah, some big forest bear, like some werebear, it's 20 feet tall, and then it's like everybody's busting out their crazy moves. Natsu goes dragon force and like tries to unleash some all-in attack. It's like, what is going on here? I think a way to do it would actually be really cool is I guess like you would have to like work it almost as like a end of arc where it's like, oh yeah, they get to, they get off the boat, and maybe you have like a short little mini event, like where it's we see, oh yeah, once they got off the boat they got into conflict with some enemy bad guy. But it was like it's like the idea of like almost like an arc, but it's condensed into like 20 minutes because they would be more powerful than this group. But you're really just seeing the end, like essentially like create a couple characters, a couple enemies, and just have it be like each of the Fairy Tail members are just in the last moments of their fights where they're just styling on these dudes. Something like that I think would work, but I don't want anything like, oh yeah, Urza's busting out Nakagami to go fight some random goblins that are stealing stuff. Unless if they messed up her cake or like a picnic or something, or her tea party, something that's just going to trigger Urza immediately, then that would make sense. But other than that, I don't think anybody busting out crazy. A Gray sees some like random bandits stealing from an old lady, and he's like, all right, and he goes lost iced shell, and he's got his demon slang mark all over him and something like that. But you know what I mean, though. um the style of animation I think looks good. I think it's what we're going to be seeing from the kind of like digital standpoint of how they do scene flares. That's going to put a lot of emphasis on the value or not of this current style that JC Staff is using. I haven't watched all of the Eden Zero anime, but I have seen specific scenes that I had value in. Stuff like when Shiki defeats the parasite version of LC, when he beats Draken Joe, like any of like the specific fight parts where it's like I want to see how they handle like Shiki's first full overdrive. and using Meteor Breaker, I thought was really cool. The only thing is, like, I could have maybe seen, like, I guess I can't really say, like, what they would add, because it was, like, a pretty short scene in the manga. I think the only part, every time I ever think about, like, the first Overdrive scene, is I don't like how the bullet falls from Shiki. I like how it stops, but I just don't, I imagine it just being, like, a quick fall down thud, but it's like, I don't know, when it hits the ground, it just doesn't have the same level of impact, I guess, that I was hoping for. But I mean, that's just mostly just nitpicking small stuff. That's not the big thing there. I've always felt like that was just kind of what triggered, like, the moment, is the bullet, just because it is a tone shift immediately of what's going on. But we'll see. I would hope very early on, maybe the first episode or two, maybe something with Eleftheria. Maybe we'll get something like when they meet Eleftheria, there'll be like some short, not like a skirmish, but you know, so maybe Urza throws like a sword barrage, and we just see Eleftheria like use magic or something to kind of like dissipate the swords. I'm just trying to think, you know, off the top of my head, just some random thing that it's like, oh cool, and then they do some animation flair just to make you go, oh cool, these guys are really putting in the work. Otherwise, we're probably gonna have to wait until around Kiria. Kiria showing up and starting to fight and do stuff. I always thought that was funny, because I didn't think about that when 100 Years Quest first began, but like going back, it's like the first few chapters, there's really no action or anything like that, because you already have all the establishment, you know the characters, you know what they're doing, you know their powers. So it's like going into a new arc, really. It's just there was a gap of, you know, a considerable gap of time between Alvarez and getting 100 Years Quest. But as it were, like, comparing the styles, I really like, probably my number one favorite out of like the 6 general styles, you know, original, season 2, Alvarez, the current, and then the 2 movies. I really like season 2. I mean, Tartaros is my favorite arc, so it's like very easy to say, on top of like some of the time where the animation looked the best, that we had the best kind of style of how it was. You can probably hear my dog whining slightly in the background, but just from what we're seeing, like I said, Tartaros is probably my favorite. I mean, it's not even really that comparable to the other ones, but as it were, when you look at the other ones, they all have their own thing. I know some people for some reason want the magic circles to come back. I was never a big fan of those, so seeing them come back, I don't know how I'd feel about them. I like them in the idea for very specific spells, where it's like there's kind of standalone spells and not something that is just like a character just decides to use some magic, unless you're like talking about Levy or Freed or anybody that would be using something that would require more of an intricate design setup. I mean, Levy's is already kind of going to be a little different just because of the way her magic works, but I could see her doing something like that just based on something that's more technique based and kind of like well down to like magic delicacy almost. Regardless of which, we can look at where we're at now and kind of say, or we'll at least, I mean, it's not like we can do anything. We just got to wait to see exactly what JC Staff is going to be putting out and exactly how it compares to the other ones. I know, like, when we had the beginning of season 2, it's like they showed like the events going on in future Lucy's timeline and the stuff with the dragons. I wonder if we'll have any form of flash forward like that, like maybe a moments of them, of like stuff like fighting Mercphobia. I don't know. I would love to see something maybe like, I'm trying to think of like how you would have like a Dragon God foreshadow moment without ever spoiling them. That'd be kind of hard. I don't know. I guess really it's like the best way to do it would be to really build up on the Eleftheria bit at the very beginning, and have just like maybe an extra scene or two, like an extra minute of just events going on, show action through that part. But other than that, I feel like it'd be kind of difficult. But I mean, like, starting it out by giving more context and visuals to some big bloody massacre, I think would probably be their best decision towards beginning, beginning of the season, just trying to get people on board kind of mentality. I think that would just altogether work more of like a grab moment than anything else. So we'll have to just wait and see exactly what their plans are. I would love to get a trailer sometime within the next month just to see exactly what we're working with. I don't need it to show every part. I know where this first season is going to be. I mean, I guess the only thing I would say I would really like to get down is just seeing who exactly is going to be voicing Ignia. I mean, I think that would be really cool just to have an understanding of what he's going to sound like. Is he just going to end up sounding like Grimjow or something? I feel like they're just going to go for some punkish dude kind of like that. But anyway, tell me what your thoughts are about like the 100 Years Quest anime. I know that they're also doing the next season of One Punch Man. So, I mean, they've got some stuff on their plate. They've got activities going. We just have to actually stand by to see what the, see how the wait is going to play out for us, because everybody that's been waiting for the 100 Years Quest anime has been waiting a good while. And I know that the announcement got like 10 million plus views on Twitter in the first day, which is pretty crazy. I think it was 10 million or something in the first 12 hours. I don't know what it's at now. It's probably close to maybe like 15 or something million, but I know it's a lot of people that are, tired of waiting. They're happy to see things back, because like throughout the entire run so far of 100 Years Quest, I've met so many people that didn't know 100 Years Quest was going, or didn't know how to read it, or were waiting for specifically the anime to come back. I don't know. So right now we just have to stand by and wait a little bit longer. We've got 4 more months. They're conveniently releasing 100 Years Quest in the month of July, in the 7th month. So we're going to be seeing all these 7s line up. I know people said it was like 7 years after the original series ended, and like, oh god, what else was it? I know it's not like 7 months after this announcement, 7 weeks after this one. There can't be too many 7s. I know there's a good amount, but still. Anyway, we will be looking soon at more information on it. I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that I really am hoping to see first from the 100 Years Quest anime, but I figured we would just kind of talk briefly about just the situation in general. I'll do a video soon, maybe like later today or tomorrow, just going over some of the some of the shows that they've done. I'll do like a very short kind of like run through of stuff they've done maybe in the last 5 years. Just look at some of their animes and watch a couple clips. I know they're not known for action stuff, but they've been branching out since I think it was around some chunk before Eden Zero, a show or two. I don't really know. I remember people were having a similar conversation once Eden Zero got announced to be with them, because some people were wondering like, did they do action series? And I think that, at least from what I've seen from season 1 of Eden Zero to season 2 from the clips, that they have improved on adding like the action scenes and just kind of like getting more emphasis onto things and making it more fluid. Because that's the thing, and that's going to be the thing about it. I mean, and on top of that, with One Punch Man and Fairy Tail at the same time, as far as I know, these are going to be their biggest titles. I mean, you have one of the biggest shonens of all time, and then you also have one of the, I don't want to say like One Punch Man is like one of the normies, because it's like Sword Art Online, where it's popular, but it's popular in a different way than say like one of the bigger shonens. I guess it's because it's a shorter series. There's people that'll be like, man, I like shonen, and they'll be like, oh cool, Sword Art Online, but they don't want to watch like One Piece or Naruto because of how long they are. I have met people like that. There's like a weird degree of the people that like see episode count, and they're just like, the second they see hundreds, they're just like, but they see something with 10 episodes, 20 episodes, and they're like, all right, let's go. I don't know what that is, because it's like, I mean, you're watching, one show continuously with a lot to work with, versus like a show and it's like, oh yeah, cool, I got caught up with. Because like One Punch Man season 1, like the season 2 and season 3, there's like years between them, right? I know obviously season 2 came out a while ago, but I'm trying to remember what the gap between season 1 to season 2 was. And I know that there's a ton of series out there. Like, just me saying that, I'm sure that anybody who's listening can think of it like another 2 to 3 series that they're like, when is season 2 coming out? When is season 3 coming out? Oh, I know Blue Exorcist. Like I think season 4 finally got announced, so it's been like years and years and years since season 3. So they've been standing by. they've been standing by too. So we'll see how things kind of turn out over the course of the next couple weeks. Like I said, I'm sure we will get a actual trailer with like a minute of just animation scenes and previewing of what we're going to be seeing. I don't require to see anything kind of too crazy. I would say like my things primarily is like I want to see a like 2 to 3 little bits of action. Like if it's like a minute of a trailer, say like a minute and a half, I'm gonna need somewhere between 20 to 30 seconds, like maybe like 15 to 25 seconds, I guess, a little bit less generous from them, of action scenes. So just like a couple seconds of this fight, couple seconds of this fight, maybe we see Kiryu doing her blade dance, something like that. Just kind of like goes towards letting us just get a bit of, oh cool, this looks hype kind of moments, because I think that's the thing that is just what will get the momentum next level building. Because I think that based off of the last bit, you know, we've gotten a lot of people coming out of the woodwork and out of hibernation for the fan base. So now we just need something to kind of like really get the blood pumping and get people just absolutely jacked and ready for what's to come in a few months. So other than that, comment below. Tell me your thoughts are about what we've gotten so far. I know it's mostly just character models, and it's been just a couple seconds of Natsu's design. But personally, I'm gonna keep my fingers completely crossed, but also I feel like I've got faith in him. It would be kind of weird to me if they didn't put in a lot of effort after, you know, years of spending the setup to this, and then on top of that, it being as big of a title as it is. Because if you think about it from a business standpoint, say you get just some random anime and some random, I don't know, romance anime, you don't know whether or not a second season of that is going to be greenlit. So you don't know whether or not like this is going to be a long going business series to be working on. Whereas like One Punch Man, yeah, there's a good amount of One Punch Man still left to work on. But I mean, Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, I mean, just looking, it's like you have one arc from, I think this is going to be season 1. I assume it's going to be seasonal. I don't think they've announced the number of episodes actually. But just assuming, say it's each general arc is like a season. You have Ermina, you have Drasil, you have Elentier, you have the Dogre Labyrinth, you have Gold Owl. I mean, at least as of right now, that's still 5. So it'd be like, oh yeah, now we have this set up for 5+ years of general work. And on top of that, it's a very already established fan base. So I think it would be unfortunate for them for many reasons to not put a lot of effort towards it. So we'll see. That's, like I said, it's just going to be one of those things we're going to have to just stand by and see exactly what the next thing they're going to reveal to us is. Because I was happy of what it was so far. The dude who does the music, I know he said that the OST set, like all the music that he did for 100 Years Quest anime, is like his masterpiece. And it's like this dude worked on the original series and did like all the music, and he did the music for Naruto, and those are like that's like some of the best music in anime, period. Like it's funny because Bleach is another one like that, where it's like the animation or the music in the anime is fantastic. All the OSTs and stuff are just great. And it's like when you think of like the big series with hype music, it's like 2 to 3 of them are made by this guy, including one for the same series. So it's like he's just like, yeah, I've taught myself all better, like I've taught myself, and this is better than what I did previously. I mean, that's just gonna be potential right there. Like all they really need to do is stick to animation, and I think that we're gonna have a great run. So anyway, other than that, comment below, tell me what your thoughts are about what's coming up and what you believe is going to be going on with JC staff. I believe that they're going to be putting their efforts in. I'm not going to just call them out because of like where because I know some, like I said, some places with the Eden Zero anime, but smaller budget, I would assume, smaller fan base, and more experimental, I would assume, with a series like that, especially something with sci-fi and more robots and mechanical stuff going on. I know that probably takes a lot more like small detail levels of animation to draw these robots and different component parts and whatnot. Anyway, other than that, comment below. Like I said, the video for the like, comment, subscribe button, check out my other videos. But than that, I appreciate you. Subscribe. Thank you all for listening. Bye.